Everybody, Aaron J. Anderson here. I have a new camera. It is just amazing. It's the Panasonic G7. I'm so happy to have a Panasonic camera back. I'm going to tell you why Panasonic cameras are absolutely amazing. I actually took some notes here, so if I look down, because some people say I ramble too much, and I'm rambling right now. It's something I quite often do. But I'm going to tell you a little things about the comparisons of the G7. I'm going to have a couple of different videos on this, I'm sure, because I'm just so excited about it. And the Sony a6000. Why am I switching to the Panasonic G7 opposed to the Sony a6000? For video, it's a no-brainer. This is 4K video. You film in 4K video. You down-res it in 1080, and there's just no comparison. So I'm not even going to talk about video. I'm talking about photography because the video is just crazy better than this. As far as photography is concerned, now I already did some tests before I'm filming this, and on the speed of these two cameras, I don't know when I'm going to cut this in, but briefly, the power on these two cameras, this is far faster on. You'll see the video when there's batteries in both, and you've been using it for a while, and you shut them off, whatever, and you turn them back on. This turns on quicker. It takes a photo from power off to power on quicker than this. If you're low on batteries and you put new batteries in these, this takes a whole bunch of time to turn back on. When you take it out, you'll see the video, put it in, you turn it on, and the icons have to load, and then finally when that battery logo icon loads, you're ready to take a fire, and this is almost instantaneous. 1, 2, 3. G7 wins. But I noticed when you put a new battery in, like a fresh charged battery, that it actually takes longer to start up. And that's a problem because if you're doing event work or weddings and you need to switch batteries quick and then you have to wait even longer before you could take a picture, that's pretty much a problem. This one here, I already took the battery out and put it in, but for sake of this one, we will put that one in. So now we put two freshly charged batteries in here, and it doesn't matter if the battery's charged or not. Just when you take a battery out and then put a new one in, this takes much longer to load up, longer than it is when the battery's in there. And you'll see, even though it will turn on, only a couple icons will show up, and then the battery will show up, and then you're ready. Let's see which way these go. That one goes that way, that one that way. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. So it turned on, but the icons aren't on. This one's already on. The M showed up, those showed up, the battery. So you can see how long that takes. Battery is out. Put the battery back in. Put it back on. Let's put this one back in. Okay. So even though we get a screen here, the icons take a while to get on before you can take the first picture. So here we go. And 3, 2, 1. This one's ready to go. That one's not ready yet. The icons just showed up. The battery just showed up. We're ready. So quite a long time. Everything's ready to go. Now we're going to see how long it takes for me to turn each camera on and take a picture. So let's try that. It's going to be kind of hard, but we're going to try it. You see how long that took? That was like almost instantaneously. That was not. Let's try it again. Let's give a few seconds for them to settle. Now you're going to watch this thing. I'm turning those on and pressing the shutter release buttons, and this one clicks almost instantaneously where this one does not. Here we go. Let me get my finger on everything. You see that? The G7 wins on powering up on every scenario. Okay, so this test is, again, the replacing like a new battery. And we're going to see how long it takes for me to get a photo. I already did the G7. We did this one. So now this is as if we have fresh batteries. And let's get these buttons right. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. I didn't have this open, but it was quite a bit of time. We'll try it again. Okay, so here's the test again because I didn't have the screen open. And I don't know if you guys can hear it. So fresh batteries. Now watch how long the Sony takes for me to take a picture. So picture you at a wedding or an event. You're getting low on batteries and there's something really cool about to happen. And you need to change these batteries. This is the speed you're going to get. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. G7's done. See that? So much longer for the A7, the a6000 to power on from fresh batteries and take a photo. Actually, it's just slower on any way you want to power these up. Okay, so now this test is a focus test. I put them in manual focus and made them blurry. Then I put them in autofocus single. And just to let everybody know, I am shooting on both cameras RAW plus JPEG. So let's see which one focuses and takes a photo quicker. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. G7 again wins. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. And I've done several weddings with this. I've done runway photography of models on a runway and all that stuff. And that is a kind of a concern when you want to switch batteries or just turn it on. Now, the battery on here you've probably heard isn't that great. And it's not that bad, but every time I use this camera, always in the back of my mind is the battery. And I don't want to go to a place or an event or a gig and always be worried about the battery. In this camera, I'm always conscious, like, is the battery going to die? And so what I would end up doing is shutting it off to save battery, but then when you turn it back on, it takes a while to load to take a shot. But this one here is just like instant on. The battery lasts longer from what I've seen and from what I've just played with around the house here. This one here, you put a new battery in there, and even if it's off and you turn it on after a while or just use it for a few minutes, it already shows one battery bar missing, where this one, I've been messing around with it for a while, and it takes a long time for the battery to go away. So time-lapse is really a joke on the Sony cameras. Now, this isn't necessarily a Sony bashing video because I actually liked Sony, but in order to get time-lapse features on here, you have to download the app, and then you have to go in. It's a really weird, I don't even want to show it, but you have to go in there to the application menu. Then you have to pick the time-lapse app, and then you're working inside the app and not in the camera. So if your camera settings are one thing and you go into the app, they can be completely different. So that's just ridiculous. This one has awesome time-lapse. If you've never followed my work before, I did an extensive series on the GH4, Panasonic GH4, and a lot of the things are similar to this, so you check that out if you want to know more about the Panasonic G7. The time-lapse on here is amazing. It's built into the camera, and it's such an easy time-lapse settings. I mean, it does the math for you, and maybe I'll do a tutorial. I was supposed to do one on the GH4 after I did my video, what was that one? Maybe I'll post somewhere in the corner here, a little video about the time-lapse. Very, very nice. Now the Sony, even when I was talking to you, it actually happened here, and you probably didn't realize, but this on and off button is really easy to switch. So many times I would get it out of my bag and notice that it was on. And I know I always turn my cameras off, and just putting it in the bag, I would feel it click on because it's right on the edge here, and it just turns on really easy. And again, this camera doesn't have great batteries, so more drain on the battery. The Panasonic G7, it's a very nice button. It's not on the edge. You actually, like on the Nikon and Canon, it is nice to have a switch here like this one because it's just quick in your fingers there to press the button. This is a little out of the way, but not much, but it's a plus because it just doesn't get accidentally hit, and it's a hard button. It's a very hard clicky button, which is very nice. Never powers on by itself. The Sony does, so that's another plus for the G7. Turning on Wi-Fi on here is so easy. You can literally, if you want to turn on Wi-Fi to send a picture to your iPad, you just click down this one function 3 button that says, do you want to send pictures to Wi-Fi? And you click yes. It's so easy. Or on the screen in here, there's this other little, you guys probably can't see this, but you click on the screen here, whoops, wrong one, the function screen, and there's a Wi-Fi button there. Click on Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi is connected. On this one, you don't want Wi-Fi on all the time because it will really drain the battery, but on this one, you have to turn the camera on, wait till it loads up, click on menu, and then you have to go to the Wi-Fi area, and you got to turn airplane mode off. Now the Wi-Fi is actually on, and then you got to go up here to send to smartphone and do it from there, which is just not that good. Let me see. Now being that I hate the battery on here, I have to go back into airplane mode and turn it on so the Wi-Fi is not on draining my battery. So Wi-Fi is easier. The app for the Sony a7S is terrible. Man, how do I even explain how bad it is? It doesn't let you do many features. You cannot do anything with video, and it just doesn't do much. If you've seen my other videos on the GH4, the G7 is the same. The app is amazing. You can focus, you can control just about all the features, shutters, ISO, and all those things. And it's just a really amazing app. Transferring it, just everything about Wi-Fi and transferring photos on this is amazing. I started with Canon cameras and then jumped to, and when the GH2 came out, I went to the GH2 camera, and from the Canon cameras that don't have any movable screen to a GH2 that had a flip screen. And then after the GH2, I think I went back to Canon, then went to some Sonys, and the Sonys, of course, have these type of screens that only go like this. And then I went back Blackmagic cinema camera and maybe another Canon camera. I can't remember all the cameras I've had. I had like 9 in 8 years. But coming back with the I had the GH3, the GH4, went to the Sony's, Nikon D750, which all have this type of screen. And then you come back to the G7 and you've got this flippy screen. I can't tell you how amazing these screens are. If you're a professional and you don't think these are good, I mean, try it. And if you don't like it, then just flip this thing around and don't use it and struggle for your shot, which would be ridiculous. But when I was doing the runway shoot last month, it was 2 days. There was the runway, you know, the models coming out, taking photos. Since I knew it was going to be the exact same thing 2 days in a row, the first day I was up on a ladder getting straight, you know, shots like this, which was okay. I did some shots like this, some shots like that, no problem. On the second day, my idea was to get down right up to the runway, which is, you know, pretty low, and shoot vertically like this. And if you shoot vertically like this, the screen doesn't tilt in your favor. So I was just really, my back was hurting, and I looking through here, and I was using a wide lens. So when they got close, I got these really cool wide shots. It was really hard to use. Had I had the G7, you flip this out like this, and you flip the screen up like this. Now look at this. I could literally sit here like this. I don't know if you could see that. I could sit here like this at waist level and touch focus, because it's a touch screen, which I didn't talk about yet, and just touch on their face. Okay, there she is coming. Touch on her face. Click, photo, photo. Or you can use, you know, tracking and all those things, but I like to just touch focus. And when they got really close and I was low, touch on the face, photo. I mean, hello, you know, doing this was just really hard on my back. And that brings me to touchscreen. Leaving touchscreens going with the Nikon D750 and then the Sony a6000, and then coming back to touchscreen. It's amazing, guys. I like to use a lot of the tactical buttons when I'm going through menus. I'm not too much of a touchy on that. But when you have the camera like this, I mean, when you're doing video or anything, you just touch wherever you want. If it's on a tripod, touch. It's amazing. Like I just told you on the runway, touch is amazing. When you take a photo, if you just double tap, let's say you take a group photo, boom, you want to say, check the eyes, see if everybody's eyes are in focus, and if they're open, you just double tap on, actually when you play back the photo, just double tap on that face and boop, there it is. You can just scroll over to the other face, it's just amazing. Scrolling around on that's terrible. Trying to change your, when I was doing the runway runway shoot, when they were down there, you know how most, you know, see I turned it on by accident again. when you focus, you know how you focus and then recompose, focus, recompose. With this camera, sometimes I said, oh man, if I could just have the focus point up here, because when they got close, but to go in the menus, you have to go into the function, click on whatever the thing is, and click. It's just ridiculous. Again, on here, touchscreen, you don't have to do anything. You're just click on the thing and your focus point moved. It's just amazing. This has a level on it. Levels, I had other cameras with levels, and they really come in handy for, again, I keep saying the runway shoot because it was the last one. With this, trying to get level shots when you're, I can't do it here because you won't see me, but when I was bent all over like this and trying to get level shots, it was really difficult. I just couldn't tell if I was level. It was just really hard to use. I used the grid lines and I went in the background off of a beam in the back, whatever. With this one, the levels, you could, again, be just like this at your waist, level it up, touch focus, all on the fly. It's just amazing. The grip, I didn't have too much issues actually with the handling the a6000. It feels really comfortable to me. No issue with it. However, this one has a bigger grip and it just is more comfortable to hold. I don't feel, I can actually kind of hang it on my fingers more when you're not shooting and it doesn't get in the way. Sorry for the dogs, but I'm going to keep going. But I'm not a negative on this. This is just more comfortable. It's a, well, they're about the same size without the lens. This lens is heavier, but when they're with no lens, they feel about the same. This might feel a little lighter. Oh yeah, dual dials. We have a dial in the back and a dial in the front. I really missed that when I went with the Sonys. This only has one dial, so that means you have to go into the settings to change things. So again, that makes this camera more comfortable, less cramping your fingers, and workflow is much faster to get the shot. Battery door. People were complaining about the battery door, that when you put a tripod plate on here, you can't access the battery door, because in the battery door is where you find your memory card as well. But I use these type of tripod mounts, and there's no issue getting in to the battery on this camera. So if you see, and here's the card. So if you've seen reviews saying that's like kind of an issue, for me it's not an issue. If this camera is so good, if you have plates, I would invest in these just because the camera is amazing, and I would not buy it or use it because of that, because easy fix, boom, done. Okay, as I'm doing these tests, I'm finding out, you know, new things that I like or dislike about each camera. Even though I had the Sony a6000 for a while, I already know what I don't like about that. But one thing I didn't mention in my other test is the memory card. When you take the memory card out, let's see if we can see this. When you take the memory card out, it's really close to the actual door, and it is really hard. Okay, that's fine, but you can't, I don't know how, we can't just like grab it like this. We have to grab it like this, and it's really hard to take out. You can see how I have to grab it like that to take out, and then putting in is the same. You got to really kind of get it lined up there, push it in, and that does take a while to do, and I dropped it a couple times during a wedding. With the G7, it's so much easier. You open that up, and it's right here. It's right here on the back. Instead of it being right next to the door here, it's actually on the back, and I mean, it's just like, it's easy. It comes out real quick because you can grab it like this. Can you see that? You can grab it like this instead of like the Sony grabbing it like that. So you grab it like that, you put it in, and it's just so much quicker. Let's do this like real time. If I wanted to change it, pull it out, get another one, pull it in. Let's try the Sony. And I'm not trying to exaggerate here. Let's just try it. There, but it's, you know, I feel like I'm going to drop it. And I'm not exaggerating here. I really am not exaggerating here. This is what I have to go through sometimes. There you go. So you can see even that slows you down. Lots of slowdowns on this camera. So there you go. I'll be making short videos as we go. Write speeds, that's what I got to do. I'm going to go back and do a write speed test and show you how annoying. That's the one test I forgot. I take a photo, man. You've got your model there. You want to take a photo. You could be in a place that's not very safe, or it's hot or wet or dangerous or uncomfortable for the model or you, and whatever. You've got more people, whatever the issue is. When you take a photo here and you play it back right away, it says writing, you know. Let's try it right now, actually. Okay, let's see if we can do this. Let's see if I can hold this up just so we can do the test here. Okay, there's focus. Now let's take a picture and see how quick it takes. See, writing, and now there it is. Well, there it is. Okay, so let's do it again. Let's take a picture up here so I can do it. Picture. Let's look at it. Oh, it's writing. Oh, okay, there it is. So take a picture, and it's right. See, it's always like that. And when I'm on the fly, I mean, I work pretty quick, and I want to see the picture right away. And on the, what do we call this one? The Panasonic. Let's see if we can show this one. We take a photo. Boom, there it is. It's there already. Just so we get a different view. There it is, it's there already. I mean, that's just amazing. Whoops, wrong button. I'm trying to do this while I'm looking. Look at that. I mean, there's no lag time, and that is both shooting JPEG plus RAW. So you're probably wondering, well, does it do it on JPEG because I don't shoot RAW? Well, let's find out. Let's change this to, because I'm not sure actually. Let's go find JPEG. Haha, same thing. Now we're on just find JPEG, and let's shoot up. Whoops. Let's get some contrast here. Look at that, JPEG, and you're still getting the slow write speeds, which was probably one of the battery and the you know, so many things about it. By the way, you know what? This is firmware 2.1 on the G7, so if you see things different or whatever, it's because of the firmware. You know what? When it comes down to it, this camera is just so comfortable to use. I just absolutely love it in every way. And when you really like to use a camera, this is one of those cameras that I just can't put it down. I want to grab it. I want to go out and take some photos. Where this camera, because of the downsides that I mentioned today, I'm like, you know, things. If you look at the size difference on these, I mean, it's not much bigger. It is a little fatter, but I mean, if you're thinking about, ooh, but the Sony a6000 is so small, this little bit of heftiness with all the other great features is just not going to stop me from using it. Oh, audio. I didn't even mention audio. No input jack on here. This one has a mic jack, but it doesn't have any headphone output to monitor that. But I'm going to do a video on how you can get around that. So stay tuned for that. I think whoever has this camera, or that's the one thing stopping you from getting it, you're going to love my video about how to get around that. Now the pluses. What's the pluses of this? Well, the size isn't much of a plus because they're so close in size. I mean, it's just a little, you know, this area here is a little fatter. It's the sensor. The sensor on this is 24 megapixel on the a6000, and on the Panasonic G7 it's 16 megapixel. That's giving the Sony 8 more megapixels. Does that matter? I don't think it matters. Having this being 8 more megapixels, when you're like me buying a camera, you're going to look at all the specs and you're going to want to just blow it up 300% and look side by side from this camera and this camera, and you're like, okay, do I notice the difference on the, you know, it's almost like this. If you put those side by side, most of the time blown up and you're pixel peeping, you're gonna be like, yeah, I think I can see that the 24 megapixels is better. But if that's what you have to do by pixel peeping, blowing it up 300%, and it's kind of like, yeah, I can see it's a little better, your clients will never know. They don't care. I've learned that over the time where clients just don't know. Unless you have a high-end client that is used to working with other photographers and you've got product photography gigs and they know what a good picture looks like and all that, then maybe so. But for the majority of people that are watching this, I almost guarantee you your clients will never know the difference from 16 megapixels and 24, even if you blow it up 20 by 30. In fact, I'm going to go get a 20 by 30 photo that was 12 megapixels. Give me 1 second. Okay, so it's me again, and I wanted to get this photo. Now this photo, I hope this can fit. This is the photo. It's a love story that I did with the a6000. However, I actually down sampled it to 12 megabytes because I was doing, I forget why I did it. I did some of their photos in 12 megapixels, not megabytes. So this is actual 12 megapixel photo, and you can see it's a 20 by 30, and being on YouTube, you're not going to see the quality or whatever of this print, but it looks amazing to my eyes, being a photographer and being a pixel peeper for most of my career, and the clients loved it. 12 megapixels, so 12 megapixels you can blow up 20 by 30 if you're, you know, maybe under 400 ISO, which that was probably 100 ISO being outside. This is 16 megapixels, so it's larger than 12 megapixel. So you're going to be able to blow up 20 by 30. I don't know how many people blow up more than 20 by 30. Now, the real test is I'm going to do some low light tests, like I do with all my cameras. I will keep you guys updated and posted on how this camera evolves in my hands as far as, am I going to keep it for professional work? Will it actually replace my Sony a6000, even with all the downsides? That's only going to happen if the quality is at least the same as the a6000, because I have no issues with the quality of a6000. So that's it, guys. You can go to my webpage at aaronjandersonphotography.com. That's usually just I post my work for my business cards and stuff like that, and I haven't updated it in a while. But if you really want to follow me more up-to-date stuff, go to Facebook and look for Aaron J. Anderson, and ARON-J Anderson, and like me over there, and I'll accept a like, and you can see up-to-date stuff. And also, if you're watching this on Vimeo or YouTube, you can go over to the other Vimeo or YouTube, depending on where you see this. Check that out too. If you have any questions, please leave some comments, and I'll be back with some